The 2nd of October 2018 T 14 hours 54 minutes and 8 seconds, 270 Z full story. DUP threatens to torpedo Theresa May's Brexit proposals and say they could vote with Labour. The 2nd of October 2018 T 14 hours 44 minutes and 32 seconds, 916 Z veteran Tory MP Sir Edward Leigh has reacted negatively, and somewhat bizarrely, to the government's plans to allow straight couples to enter into civil partnerships. The 2nd of October 2018 T 14 hours 33 minutes and 29 seconds, 240 Z anti-Brexit Tory MP Soubry is scathing about the party's young activists. The 2nd of October 2018 T 14 hours 17 minutes and 36 seconds, 343 Z Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, is currently addressing the conference. He jokes about introducing new technology in the NHS and says he has been able to consult widely about this in the last few days, because CCHQ's given everyone my phone number. Hancock says the NHS is still the biggest buyer of fax machines in the country and possibly even the world, something he says is putting even greater pressures on our NHS staff. He adds, in some hospitals a nurse still goes round with a clipboard to find out where beds are in use and where they're empty. It doesn't have to be that way. The 2nd of October 2018 T 14 hours 12 minutes and 25 seconds, 250 Z. This is an interesting development that we'll be keeping a close eye on. The 2nd of October 2018 T 14 hours 2 minutes and 2 seconds, .043 Z. It's fair to say DUP leader Arlene Foster wasn't overly impressed with Karen Bradley, the Northern Ireland Secretary, praising the BBC earlier. The 2nd of October 2018 T 13 hours 53 minutes and 53 seconds, 183 Z. Tory Eurosceptic MP James Duddridge has welcomed Boris Johnson's speech. The 2nd of October 2018 T 13 hours 38 minutes and 46 seconds, .000 Z. Claire Perry, the business minister, has issued a withering put-down of Boris Johnson's speech. She tells Sky News, "It's a travelling circus that comes to town. He thrives on publicity. He doesn't have a policy backbone anywhere on him. Who doesn't want to see the court jester arrive? But behind the scenes all the deadly serious work of delivering Brexit goes on." The 2nd of October 2018 T 13 hours 30 minutes and 46 seconds, .000 Z. Analysis. What did we learn from Boris Johnson's big speech? In short, not a great deal that we didn't already know. But this was clearly a leadership pitch, and in that sense it gave us a clearer sense of what Johnson's future campaign might look like. On Brexit, there was a lot of angry rhetoric about the Chequers plan, much of which we've heard before, but again very little in the way of alternative solutions. He said the UK should pursue a Canada-style free trade deal and reject the European Commission's proposal for a Northern Ireland backstop, but offered no suggestions for how this could possibly avoid a hard border in Northern Ireland. The speech contained plenty of red meat for Tory members, with tough language on Europe and Jeremy Corbyn, an impassioned defence of free markets, and a call for lower taxes. But Johnson twinned this with a much softer passage on housing, where he spoke at length about people being locked out of home ownership and living in poor conditions. The former Foreign Secretary wants to be seen as a leader in waiting, the inevitable successor to Theresa May. The hype around this speech, perhaps more than anything in it, will have helped him achieve that, and the rabble-rousing rhetoric will undoubtedly go down well with many party members. However, it's not the Tory faithful that is most likely to put a stop to Boris Johnson's prime ministerial ambitions, it's Tory MPs. Most insiders believe the former Foreign Secretary would have a good chance of winning if he makes it onto the members' ballot in any leadership election. But to do that he needs to secure the backing of more than 100 Tory MPs, and that's where his problem lies. Many MPs have little patience for their party conference being overshadowed by what many see as yet more of Johnson's showboating. So while today's speech may have increased the likelihood that the Tory faithful would vote for Prime Minister Johnson, it might also make it more likely that they'll never get the chance to do. The 2nd of October 2018 T 13 hours 7 minutes and 58 seconds. 000Z New. Gavin Williamson, the Defence Secretary, has threatened to block the EU's access to British satellite facilities after Brexit. The 2nd of October 2018 T 12 hours 53 minutes and 58 seconds. 000Z. The 2nd of October 2018 T 12 hours 52 minutes and 58 seconds. 000Z. Wrapping up, Boris Johnson says, and so for one last time, I urge our friends in government to deliver what the people voted for, to back Theresa May in the best way possible, by softly, quietly, and sensibly backing her original plan. And in so doing to believe in conservatism and to believe in Britain. Because if we get it wrong, we will be punished. And if we get it right, we can and will have a glorious future, and this government will be remembered for having done something brave and right and remarkable and in accordance with the wishes of the people. He gets a huge standing ovation from an audience that appeared to love every word. The 2nd of October 2018 T 12 hours 47 minutes and 58 seconds. 000Z urging Theresa May to return to the principles of her Lancaster House speech. Johnson says, this is the moment to chuck checkers, to scrap the Commission's constitutionally abominable Northern Ireland backstop, to use the otherwise redundant and miserable implementation period to negotiate the Super Canada Free Trade Agreement, to invest in all the customs procedures that we will need to ensure frictionless trade and to prepare much more vigorously than hitherto for coming out on WTO terms. That gets a prolonged and hearty round of applause, the biggest so far. He continues, if we get this right, it can be win-win for both sides of the channel. If we get it wrong, if we bottle Brexit now, believe me, the people of this country will find it hard to forgive. If we get it wrong, if we proceed with this undemocratic solution, if we remain half in half out, we will protract this toxic, tedious business that is frankly so off-putting to sensible middle-of-the-road people who want us to get on with their priorities. If we cheat the electorate, and checkers as a cheat, we will escalate the sense of mistrust. We will give credence to those who cry betrayal, and I am afraid we will make it more likely that the ultimate beneficiary of the checkers deal will be the far right in the form of UKIP. The 2nd of October 2018 T 12 hours 44 minutes and 58 seconds. 000Z Johnson says the manifest democratic injustice of the checkers plan provides the perfect argument for those who want to keep Britain in the EU and is therefore a recipe for continued acrimony. If the proposals are adopted, they would embolden those who are now calling for a second referendum. Such a vote would be disastrous for trust in politics, he adds. The 2nd of October 2018 T 12 hours 44 minutes and 58 seconds. 000Z continuing his attack on Theresa May's checkers plan, Johnson says, that is not pragmatic, that is not a compromise. It is dangerous and unstable, politically and economically. This is not democracy. That is not what we voted for. It is a constitutional outrage. It's not taking back control, it's forfeiting control. He says the checkers proposals show the UK was unable to take back control and mean Britain would be effectively paraded in manacles around Brussels. More rapturous applause. The 2nd of October 2018 T 12 hours 42 minutes and 58 seconds. 000Z here we go. Boris Johnson is on to Brexit. He says it is sad and desperately wrong that the government's current Brexit strategy will make it harder for the UK to do trade deals with other countries and would leave the UK locked in the tractor beam of Brussels. That gets a huge clap. Johnson says it is politically humiliating and suggests the authors of the checkers plan risk prosecution under a 14th century statute which says no foreign government should have jurisdiction in this country. Checkers would mean the entire economy would be exposed perpetually to regulations that could have been expressly designed by foreign competitors to damage the UK, he says. The 2nd of October 2018 T 12 hours 39 minutes and 58 seconds. 000Z The conspicuous failure of markets does not mean that state control is better, Johnson says. He says it is astonishing that in his conference speech last week Jeremy Corbyn had nothing to say about wealth creation. The grafters and the grifters, the innovators and the entrepreneurs. On a tangent, he calls for the reintroduction of systematic stop-and-search to end the politically correct nonsense that has endangered the lives of young people in our capital and elsewhere. He says, on no account can we try to follow Corbyn and treat capitalism as some kind of boo word. The 2nd of October 2018 T12 hours 37 minutes and 58 seconds. 000Z Boris Johnson says he visited Peru during his time as Foreign Secretary and wondered why it had taken 52 years for a British Foreign Secretary to visit. Answering his own question, he says, our global strategy, our commercial, our political, our diplomatic strategy, was focused on the EU. This was right in the 1970s, he says, but makes much less sense today when 95% of the world's growth is forecast to come from outside the EU. The 2nd of October 2018 T12 hours 35 minutes and 58 seconds. 000Z Johnson hits out at Philip Hammond, the Chancellor, who earlier in the week mocked his record as Mayor of London. He says as mayor he cut crime by 20%, reduced tube delays, introduced new buses, built new museums and lowered council tax, among other things. He says that, under current Mayor Sadiq Khan, the number of new builds is falling because Labour gets tangled in its cynical political objectives. Johnson is laying out a clear policy manifesto. He talks about increasing home ownership, taking on the big house builders who are abusing their dominant position, and giving councils a greater share of council tax. The 2nd of October 2018 T12 hours 33 minutes and 28 seconds. 606Z Johnson moves on to the thorny subject of housing, which he says is a massive opportunity for the Tories. He also references his time as a reporter at the Express. It should be pointed out at the juncture, that at least one person who worked with him at the Wolverhampton-based newspaper suggested he was rubbish. Anyway, here's text from his speech, which he does appear to be deviating from at times. It is also a massive opportunity for us Tories. If we rise to the challenge, if we get it right, it is an open goal, because this is one of those critical issues where, in the phrase of Chris Patton, the facts of life do always turn out to be conservative. And Labour's instincts actually clash in a fundamental way with the instincts of ordinary people. Worse still, Labour's political interests, which centre on the building and control of state-owned housing, are diametrically opposed to the interests of most families. I remember when I was first absolutely certain that we Tories were right about housing. I was a reporter on the Wolverhampton Express and Star, not far from here. And I went out to see a couple who were complaining about damp. It was a terrible scene. They were sitting there and with the heating on full blast and a baby crying, and the condensation dripping down the window, and there were these great black spores all over the wall. The chap was in his socks in an armchair and in a state of total despair. He was worried about the baby's cough, which was getting worse. The council wouldn't do anything, and he felt he couldn't do anything, because it was not his property, and I could see that he felt somehow unmanned by the situation. And I felt very sorry for them both because they were total prisoners of the system. And I thought what a difference it would make to that family if they had been able to take back control, to coin a phrase. To buy that flat. And since then I have lost count of the times, and I bet you have too, when I have been out campaigning, and someone has told me on the doorstep that they would vote Conservative forever out of sheer gratitude to us for letting them buy their own home. That is what people want, the pride of having a place they own. A sense of excitement that has probably been common to humanity since the first couple took vacant possession of the first mud hut in Mohenjo-Daro.